Caddo Sheriff Steve Prator on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Good morning to you, Sheriff.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. You're feeling good this morning. Reelected, pretty wide margin, correct?
Yes, I was real pleased with the numbers and the percentage and everything else.
You got more votes this time than you did 4 years ago.
Right, got more votes this time than 4 years ago, which was that's always it's a good sign, and it's very rewarding, and I'm very thankful for everybody that pitched in and helped me get reelected and that has confidence in me.
But you know, Sheriff, according to social media, you're an evil dictator.
Slaveholder.
Slave. Yeah. You're an evil man.
Well, I don't ever read social media myself around this time because it just it doesn't pay. I'm not going to let those folks get into my head, and a lot of things were said about associations and about things that I have nothing to do with and no knowledge of, and I got laid at my feet. But thank goodness the voters, the majority of them, saw through all of that.
So your job is to house prisoners. You don't get to go decide whether they go to court or get convicted or any of that stuff, do you?
No, we have about 1,100 people out there awaiting trial, and the judge says what the bond is. Most of them were arrested by the Shreveport Police Department. We just simply have to hold them, and they just stack up, and they're just awaiting trial. And so we don't make any money out of it. The corrections in the jail is such a losing proposition for money. Anybody that would say that we make money on that place they really are. They don't have any information or knowledge or education about the correctional system, the way we run our business out there. They don't have a clue.
What's the holdup? Is it because we don't have enough indigent defenders? That's what some people will tell you.
Well, it's a systematic or systemic or whatever that word is. It's everything to do with the criminal justice system. It's the end that we should have been studying instead of letting people out of jail at the far end. Of course, some of that needed to be done, certainly, but not at the front end. The front end needed to be. That's where the study needs to occur, and that's what I've tried to get the state to look at. These are state laws that we have to enforce, and by law, I'm the keeper of the jail. I have no control over it. That's where your backlog is at the front end. We need to be properly charging people and getting them to trial. And like I say, it's not any one entity. It's not the DA or the judges or the defense attorney or law enforcement. Everybody needs to come together again, like we have done over the years with that criminal justice committee that I formed, and we just got to work on that problem, and the state needs to work on it.
What are your other priorities as you take over for another term?
Well, I'm elected to be tough on crime and careful with your money. That's the slogan we've always used, and that's the way we've always lived our lives, and the philosophy we have at the sheriff's office. And that's the number one priority. Of course, we still lead the pack in the way that we stay up with technology and all of the latest innovations that there are. We hold our folks accountable. We got good folks at the Caddo Sheriff's Office, the men and women down there, just to do a phenomenal job. We call folks back. We're responsive to people's problems, and so that's just what people expect of government, and that's what's missing in government so many times.
Can I throw a curveball at you? What's new, right?
Well, sure.
I haven't heard you say much about the problem that is now facing our juvenile jail. You're in charge of enforcing crime, no matter what the age is. We are now starting to have to release juveniles because they're having to hold the 17-year-olds in the juvenile lockup, and we've not expanded that. It doesn't look like we're going to expand it. Are you going to get involved in trying to find a solution for that?
Well, we've got to find a solution. So certainly, I'm going to be involved in it. I don't know what the answer is there, also, but we happen to live in a parish that it's no secret that Shreveport's losing population and that we are not as large as we used to be. Our school system's down, and so we've got to figure out just exactly what we are and what we need to be and shape it to that. I'm not in favor of millions and millions and millions of dollars being spent on something. We got to figure out a way to work more efficient, smarter in what we do. It may mean that we have to build something. I'm not sure, but we need to come together as a community, quit quit bitching around with each other and calling people names and talking everything about black and white and green and blue and look at the problem and let's solve it.
And let me go back to something else that you've been working on this year. You and the city have kind of been in an agreement. You kind of helping patrol the city. Is that still going? Do you anticipate that changing at all?
No, we still have a group that we send into the city to do some regular routine patrolling. We try to help the city when we can. I have to explain to people we have 800 square miles that we have to patrol, and the city has 100 square miles. And our patrol division is 91 men and women, which is less than one shift of the Shreveport Police Department. So we don't have an abundance of patrol deputies, even though we have about 800 people there. We've got so many different things as the sheriff's office that we're required by law to do and services we perform. So we can't just blanket the city and begin to take over patrol. That's just not we don't have the funding to do that. We don't really have the responsibility. We have the authority, but we don't have the responsibility.
What's going on with recruiting? Are you actively recruiting new deputies?
Oh, I think every agency in the United States has a shortage of manpower. We cannot get people to come into law enforcement.
Why, Sheriff?
All across the United States.
What's the problem?
Part of the problem is the media has portrayed law enforcement as the criminals and the criminals as the victims. And that's just not the way it is. And I hope the pendulum will swing back. And once again, young people will say, hey, I want to be in law enforcement. I want to be a hero. I want to serve people. And that's just not there yet. So we don't have people wanting to be in law enforcement. Plus the pay is who wants to come to work for $35,000 or $40,000 a year and be under the scrutiny that you're under, be under the public perception created by the liberal media that we're the bad guys? Who wants to do that? And then if you make a mistake, you're going to be prosecuted if the political winds are blowing that way. So you're going to come to work for $35,000, risk your life because it's a dangerous profession, risk your freedom by being prosecuted for something that you just made a mistake. Mm-hmm. Now that's not to say we shouldn't be held accountable for everything that occurs, but come on, it's getting to the point to where we just can't get people to come into law enforcement. That's a sad way. We're about 50 deputies short right now, and probably 600 or 700 deputies just with sheriff's offices short across the state.
Sheriff, one more question before I let you go. Was this your last election? Will you run again?
I never know what I'm going to do for sure as far as that goes. It depends on my health. It depends on my zeal and my passion, which hadn't declined. My health or my passion hadn't declined a bit. And so I'm not going to say that. And it all depends. I want to make sure that we have somebody that's qualified, not a hand-picked person or anything, but somebody that has the integrity, the ethics, the drive, and the philosophy I have, that it's important to be tough on crime and careful with your money.